All right. Sorry about that, folks. I gotta say, I'm glad to be with you this lovely evening. Trying to get the office in order here. I just got to start a new job today, so the studio is in disarray, complete disarray tonight. But you know what's not in disarray? Well, just have a listen to this, and I'll tell you what is and what is not in disarray this evening. Because while Raw may have been an absolute shit show that I sat down and watched while I was working, I did not get a chance to check out tonight's game. What game, you ask? Well, have a listen at this.
Oshie inside the four-man defensive box, goes to Backstrom, who drifts it back in for the feed. Score! Oshie! And it's a power play goal, and the Capitals have struck first.
That's right, my boy, TJ Oshie, scoring the first power play goal tonight as the Washington Capitals upset the Pittsburgh Penguins 5-2 in Pittsburgh tonight. Capital goals tonight scored by, in the first period, TJ Oshie, the one that you just heard there. Assists by Kutsanov and Backstrom. 12-41 in the first. It's a power play goal. And Andrei Burakovsky, or Bukovsky. I'm not good with Russian names. At 6:36 in the second period, putting him up 2-0. Nicholas Backstrom, 16 seconds in the third period, putting him up by 3. John Carlson put him up by 4 at 11:17 in the third. And my man Andrei Burakovsky, 12:29 in the third, putting him up 5-0. And then at 16:38, Jake Grunzell with an assist by Crosby put him up. They turned the goose egg into a 1 for the Pittsburgh Penguins tonight. And then Malkin, about a minute later, less than a minute later, put him up by 2. But I tell you, man, I'm kind of discouraged with this. Waiting for AC to call in. AC, go ahead and call in if you're joining us tonight. We got to talk about this show tonight, folks. I got to say, AC's right tonight. Hate to admit it, but I'll admit it. I'll say it. AC is right tonight, folks. Whew. Pains me to say it sometimes. Well, it doesn't pain me to say it, I should say. Uh-oh, AC calling in. AC, you with us?
What's up?
Man, just bragging about my CAPS caps, baby, tonight. Shutting them fucking down 5-2 in Pittsburgh tonight.
There you go.
Forcing a game 7. Only game 7. How about that? Everybody thought we were down. Three games in. We didn't even get it. 3-1. People were like, oh, they're going to win one more. Nope. My man, TJ Oshie, coming in there to set it off tonight for us. They scored 2 goals there within the last 5 minutes of the game, which had me worried. But we pulled through. We didn't let it happen.
Well, let's hope my asshole Rangers could do their job, considering they should have won the fucking series already.
Oh yeah. I don't know, man. I'm worried. I don't think we're gonna win.
I don't think the Rangers are gonna make them. They may win. They may win tomorrow, but I don't know.
I gotta tell you, man. As far as the Capitals go, I don't see us winning on Wednesday. I just don't. We're back at home in that goddamn Verizon Center, and for some reason, we've only won this entire series with Pittsburgh. We've won 1 home game. 1.
Yeah, you're due for another home win.
Maybe.
I'll be rooting for you. Fuck Sidney Crosby.
I can't stand him, but goddamn, man, we just can't win at home for some reason.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. I'm sitting there watching the home game. I think it was Saturday night, and they flash a graphic up the top of the screen. This is the first time the Capitals have led at home this series. I'm like, what the fuck?
Honestly, other than game 1, the Rangers have fucking pretty much dominated Ottawa until those last few minutes of the third periods and the overtimes.
Yep, Rangers are just like the Capitals. They dominate them on the ice, but they can't put it in the net.
Unbelievable.
They dominate in shots on goal. They dominate in hits. They dominate on power plays and everything. They just can't. They can't put it in the net. I don't get it.
It's unbelievable.
The Caps the same way. But my man tonight, TJ Oshie. I told my girlfriend, I was like, you got to get me a TJ Oshie jersey for Christmas. Before we get to get to tonight's Raw, I got a couple alerts to send out. We got a few new subscribers to here to 1650 PWAM. 1650 PWAM. Follow us on Twitter, 1650 PWAM. I got your Twitter handle up there, at AC Cooldown, if you want to follow AC. And if you want to follow me, it's at Joe Pillow to Post. We had a great, wonderful cap off to what has been dubbed by the fans as CWF Week here on 1650. The other night with Jeff Edwards, where we reviewed episode 103. I want to thank everybody who has listened to that, commented on it, subscribed to the network. Speaking of subscribers, we got an alert going out right there. There it is on your screen. Jonathan Miller subscribed to us in the last few days on YouTube. Also coming out right there, you're going to be seeing it here on your screen here in just a minute. Club Bub has subscribed to us on here at 1650 PWAM. There it is. Thank you very much, Club Bub, for subscribing to 1650 PWAM. And also, I'm going to have a hard time pronouncing these weird names, guys, so bear with me. MGTOV, MGTOWV, there he is, has subscribed to us on YouTube, 1650 PWAM. AC, how have things been going? We ain't heard from you in about a week.
Oh, I pretty much have worked.
I got
Other
that.
than the night I did my show, I've worked.
Really?
So, yeah, it's tremendous. I listened to your interviews. They went well. I thought it was a good first week for us. All up from here. We've had someone risen from the dead. We've had
someone risen from the dead.
Yeah, somebody reappeared in our lives.
King Firehawk.
Yeah, he's back.
He's back. Is he? I'm new. This is news to me. I know that he tweeted us. He tweeted at Edwards, and
he tweeted myself and Jeff, and the King has dropped a podcast.
Oh Lord, I don't even know if I want to listen.
Oh, stop it! You love the King.
I love King Firehawk, but I mean, I don't want to listen to him bash me.
Oh, listen. I've only listened to the first 5 minutes, and I highly doubt he's bashing it.
Is it on 16? The other network is the other network risen from the dead?
I think he might have shut that operation down.
Wow. I heard he saw the 1650. I heard that he had a chuckle and wished us nothing but the best.
That is the case.
Very much. Thank you, Firehawk.
And
hey, man.
I gotta say, I mean, if he saw what we're tweeting, he must know you're involved, and he, nothing derogatory.
Well, he has me blocked, so he can't see anything that I do, I guess. He's never unblocked me.
Maybe he doesn't know.
Maybe he doesn't know, but I mean, if he's listening, he's got the damn link. I'm sure he's listened to a couple things. Thank you so much, man. I mean, look, I appreciate the kind words. I hold no ill will, no grudges whatsoever. We may bust his balls from time to time, but shit, how many times did he bust our balls on there? So, thank you.
God willing, he'll make another appearance on Cool Down with AC. I don't know about the whole.
Oh Lord.
I don't know how much he's gonna
talking about
get involved, but
talking about you getting drunk. That's just two drunks having beers and cursing for 45 minutes.
I think we did some pretty good radio in the past.
Oh, yeah. So
and the old 1640 files of when I was as green could be.
I have something to admit to you tonight, man.
What's that?
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right about the best goddamn thing on tonight's show was Roman Reigns.
I mean, it was the only thing that anybody cared about, it seemed like. I mean, listen, I don't want to make it seem like others didn't get a reaction. We all know that. He
wasn't as booed as much tonight.
I mean, there was your share of boos. I just thought there was, I mean, I hate to go back to the Brock Lesnar deal, but a big fight feel the Reigns coming out. And, I mean, I don't know why it's in the middle of the show. Maybe because there's no title in the picture right now, and they're trying not to totally bury everybody else. But I popped a little. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll be honest with you. When he came out, I was like, oh man, they when Braun Strowman came out in the damn sling, I was just like, rotator cuff takes about 6 months to get over. They shot themselves in the foot.
They may be trying to oversell these injuries a little bit too much. Maybe I don't know. I had a feeling because I knew he was out there. Because I mean, they obviously, there's no secret to the fact that the entire roster was sightseeing for the last week. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which I mean, in this day and age, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't see an issue with it.
I do.
I'm just saying,
If it was up to me, if it was up to me, we'd still have heel and face locker rooms for crying out loud.
I listen. Overall, I agree with you. I'm just saying, in this day and age,
it's not going to happen.
Right. I'm not saying I disagree with your idea behind it. Obviously,
it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible for it to happen in the days of social media.
Well, let me ask you because once we get into Raw, I know it's going to take up the majority of the show. Let me ask you a question. Your interview with Chip Day. Did you? I thought he was going to kind of come at me a little harder than he did.
Well, I kind of slowed his roll down a little bit because you were not. I mean, he thought you were criticizing his weight, and that was not the impression that I got when you made that comment about.
I don't necessarily want to say his weight, but I think he was kind of on the right track though a little bit.
Really? Well, then to me it was
no. This is my reason behind it, and I don't want to come off as an asshole. I just want to explain what I meant by the whole thing. Obviously, I'm not a dummy. Not every great athlete is going to be 4% body fat with abs. And I know I brought up Travis Gordon, Ricochet, Leo Rush, blah blah blah. Those kind of guys who are just shredded beyond belief. But my main theme with the whole thing, and I didn't hear it come up, or response to it, was the idea of maybe the match being a little long, maybe a little bit tired. Like I almost thought like that was going to be what he took exception with. I know the physique thing came up and he kind of took exception with that, which I have no problem with, of course. And the board short thing, obviously. I mean, I was just throwing that out there. I mean, that's really not a big deal to me. I could care less. With all the wrestlers out there, you're gonna have guys who have similar ring gear. It's there's just not enough different styles in the world to go around. I mean, let's face it. But I thought he'd be more mad about that and the crying thing, to be honest with you.
Look at it. Look at MMA. Look at UFC. Everybody's forced to wear the same goddamn thing, just different colors. It's all Reebok.
Well,
so
I mean that's
UFC's fault.
That was a money deal for the UFC, and they kind of screwed the fighters over in that.
Honestly, when does that deal end? With them?
Not soon enough, or if it ever ends.
I mean,
I just think it's a. I mean. I get it, but I kind of like the idea of guys like being able to get their own sponsors and kind of make their own money and kind of being unique in a sense.
Not even just the fighters. They lost the best cut man in the business over it, Stitch.
Yeah, well, that's more of his comments with that.
Yeah, I mean, Stitch had sponsors.
I mean,
too.
I don't know. Listen, I have a lot of respect for Stitch in boxing and in MMA, but I'm not so sure that I'm going to go and call him. There's a lot of very talented cut men out there.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, I will say this about the Chip Day thing. I tried to redirect it, and maybe I misdirected it because I thought you were talking about the board shorts thing and him looking like Kevin Owens as far as the shorts go. And I mean,
I did say it, but that wasn't the main theme. I really wanted to hear his thoughts on it more than anything.
Well, I mean,
like honestly, I thought he was. I thought he came off pretty good. A part of it was you guys had the trouble with the cell phone there for a while, which those kind of things happen on live radio as we know. But I honestly thought we were going to get a little bit more out of it. I was kind of hoping for a rubber match or something.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. What do you mean a rubber match about the?
I didn't know. I thought he might come at me a little bit, and him and I could get on together and hash it out. Well, I was kind of looking forward to that.
Well, I mean, here's the thing.
And all in good fun. No.
Here's the thing about a live interview. I'll let everybody in behind the scenes on this. And this is not Chip Day's fault whatsoever. Chip Day, beautiful guest. Thank you again, Chip, for coming on. Yes, and if you'd like to hear that interview, it's in the archives right now at our YouTube page. If you follow us on Twitter, you'll see links to it all over the place at 1640 or at 1650 PWAM. See, you mentioning Firehawk this evening got me thinking about 1640. It's 1650 PWAM on Twitter at 1650 PWAM. You can go listen to that Chip Day interview in the archives right now, as well as other 1650 PWAM content, which I'll get to here in just a second. But There's a couple things. One, I knew the second that I heard him in a car that we were going to have cell phone trouble. That's not his fault. It's fucking Georgia. They don't put enough cell phone towers down here in the South, okay? Unless you're in a big metropolitan area, which he was probably in if it's anywhere but Atlanta or Macon, probably you're not gonna, or you're not gonna, or Savannah, you're not gonna you're fucked.
So as soon as you hit Paducah, you're screwed.
Pretty much, and everywhere except for Atlanta, Macon, and fucking Savannah is pretty much Paducah. Okay, so and that's in Georgia. Combine that with the fact that he was rushing to go pick somebody up. I didn't want to hold him for any longer. Third thing was,
listen, don't get me wrong. You did a fantastic job. I'm not slighting your interview at all.
The third thing is that, like I told him in the beginning when I was trying to research him, there's not a lot out there about him. And that was part of the reason why I had him on, is to help get his name out there, like he needs my fucking help doing it. But I mean, it's, I felt that was my thank you to him for putting on such a fantastic fucking match at that arena. And I'm going to get to see him again on the 20th. And it even sparked a Twitter war between him, Nick Richards, and Dominic Garrini, him, Kane Justice, and Dominic Garrini. Although Nick Richards wouldn't be a bad opponent for him either. But, Kane is not going to be facing Chip Day on the 20th, nor should he. Kane's opponent is Cecil Scott for that 20th taping over there in the Mid-Atlantic Sportatorium. Dominic Garrini getting in the mix, thinking he could, go on one-on-one, with Chip. I would love to see any one of those matches. Hell, throw them all three in a triple threat for all I care. But I love how I started a bit of a Twitter war between those three.
Oh, that's cool. It's cool, man. It's cool that he came on too. Like, I mean, obviously, the general theme was obviously to put the match over, not to take away from it. So anybody who took offense to anything I said, that wasn't my intention. It was just, I was just giving my thoughts basically. And the thing is, I listened to the other interview too with Grant Sawyer. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Okay. The Grant Sawyer about the production, which again, don't get me wrong. I tried to be as complimentary as I could too, but maybe point out some things. You guys spent a lot of time on the hard cam, and just to explain my point on that, I'm not sitting here telling you I want to see an entire match shot from a hard cam. I'm not telling you that at all, because I'd be lying to you, because NEW doesn't do it, and most of the wrestling companies that I watch online don't do it from the hard cam all the time. I was just saying you didn't get that angle, which was a little bit different. And even the stuff like outside the ring, like I went back and watched a few NEW matches just to say, like, was I being an asshole and like, just overstating it? And I think to an extent maybe I was, but at the same time too, my point was it just felt a little zoomed in more, and not saying it looked bad. It was just closer angles that I was used to, and it took me a minute to get used to. That's all I was getting to. I mean, obviously overall the production was pretty damn good, especially for a quote unquote indie.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, you could go on the internet and look at some of these indies. And like, there's one close by me where I've gone to a few times just because it's 10 minutes down the road and it's $5 to get in. But they have like a hard cam on top of a bathroom. You're watching the whole match from that. I mean, so we all know where there's levels to this shit. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it took everybody a while to get used to WWE changing the way they shot when they did the whole fucking. About a year ago, right after NXT first started, the WWE started using weird camera angles. They started right after the draft, I think it was. They started using that crane
SmackDown.
cam.
I think it was more SmackDown than Raw.
They started taking more Ring of Honor style things. Started using that crane cam more. They started making going between the ropes a little bit more. And as the Electric City Saint, our friend Robert Ventura points out on YouTube, CWF not using a hard cam actually appeals to me. He says it's something different, and I think AC's point here, folks, is it's not bad. It's just different. And after you watch a couple episodes of that show, you'll get used to it.
Probably won't even notice it.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying it's wrong either. Like, I'm not putting it out being like, oh, you did it wrong. First of all, let's be honest. Grant Sawyer is more of an expert in all that than I am, and I would never say that I'm not. I was just giving you my perspective as somebody watching it for the first time. That's all.
So speaking of 1650 PWAM and all the great stuff we have on there, we just dropped a few shows over the weekend. We had your show, Cool Down with AC, that they dubbed 1650 Volume 1. That is up there now for your viewing and listening pleasure. And we also
that is all on iTunes as well now.
It is.
The 1650 PWAM as of today is up on iTunes, and that show is up there as well.
Can they search that on iTunes by searching 1650 PWAM?
You could search 1650 PWAM, or you could search Cool Down with AC and grab it from there. I just did that quickly before we came on. I'd have to go through again and see what else point being is you could get to it a few different ways. If you can't find it by searching 1650 PWAM, search Cool Down with AC, and you'll see the little 1650 logo. If you click on that, then you could subscribe to us, and the episodes will come right to you, and you won't have to search for anything ever again.
Now, we do need to note that not all episodes will be going there. It's only like a select few because of space and everything and technical issues, right?
Well, let's put it this way: we got there and about 100 hours of space, so you're going to get a good amount of content on there. We'll leave up some of the older stuff so you could go back and check it out if you wanted to, but we'll be rotating in stuff, weekly. So the weekly shows, you'll be able to grab them from there. I mean, listen, if we do a show every day, I'm not, 3-hour show, I'm not sure every show is going to make it there, but the majority of them, obviously our hub is on YouTube, but you can also grab most of the content for a short period of time on YouTube. It's not going to, most of the stuff's not going to be there forever. Right. It's kind of going to be like a rotating.
As newer stuff goes up there, the oldest stuff falls off the list. So grab it while you can, folks. One more thing I wanted to talk about here, and that is our old pal Jeff Edwards, Blading for Truth, 1650 PWAM, at Blading for Truth on Twitter, had released a quick cut, what he calls Blading for Truth quick cut, about Billy Corgan buying the NWA. I before we get into Raw here, what are your thoughts on Billy Corgan buying the NWA?
I don't know. What does it mean at this point? I mean, it's not, obviously we're not talking about the NWA/WCW we grew up with, right?
Right.
So I don't know what that means. Is he gonna try to get it on TV? I guess I got to take a wait and see approach with it. I mean, obviously he has he wants to be in the wrestling business. Personally, I think he got kind of a raw deal with the whole TNA scenario, and maybe listen, when you have artistic and talented people, you never know, maybe he hits on something. It's just, to me, although the wrestling market is different now, where you can get, like we've talked about this in the past, it's like a territorial era, but it's not really. It's because you have all these companies, but it's also going to be difficult to probably get any kind of substantial TV deal either.
I mean, especially since the news broke today that the Sinclair Broadcasting Group, who owns Ring of Honor, they just purchased Tribune. Tribune, who is, if you don't know who Tribune is, if you ever grew up watching Bozo the Clown on WGN, you've watched Tribune station. So Ring of Honor is probably coming to WGN America. Not that that's a big deal, but because, I mean, who the fuck watches WGN America anymore? I can't even find it on my guide right now. I know it's there, but
let me ask you this, not to cut you off, sorry. WGN, they still broadcast the Cubs?
Yep.
Who are the World Series champions?
Cubs and White Sox, yeah.
I mean, they start throwing in commercials there. I mean, I get it. We're not trying to make a bigger deal out of it than it is, but it's just a little bit more exposure for Ring of Honor, which, if you're a Ring of Honor fan, is never a bad thing.
Oh yeah. And it also means that it can be seen on a national level, because I don't know of any cable system right now that does not carry WGN,
Right, like you said, you might have to try to find it, but you probably have it.
Well, here's the problem. Here's a plus over TNA. It's not like it's Pop TV where nobody's ever fucking heard of it, People have heard of WGN.
Right. Or what was the other network there? The
Destination
America. Even though it was a Discovery network, nobody fucking watched that network.
But getting back to the Billy Corgan thing and my thoughts on it, because I haven't really given my thoughts on it. I look at it this way. He's bought a brand. He's bought a belt. There's no tape library, because the tape library that Bruce Tharp is trying to push on that paid website is Paul Bosch's library, which should be sold to WWE by his widow. Sorry, Paul Bosch isn't making a fucking dime, or Bruce Tharp isn't making a damn dime off of it. It's the Houston Wrestling Library. Who's watching that?
Nobody.
So, I look at it this way. If he does a TV deal, if he could get NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance, on somewhere, if he could start branching out affiliates, we mentioned on Jeff and I's recap of CWF. CWF has the PWI, Pro Wrestling International. Am I saying it's ever going to get back to what WCW was in the 80s and 70s? No. But for that brand, for a brand that's dead, I think if anybody has any kind of stroke that gives a damn to, rise that phoenix from the ashes, it's probably Billy Corgan. Billy Corgan is a well-known guy. He's right. Smashing Pumpkins. So if anybody's going to pay attention to a pitch about NWA, about the wrestling, they're going to pay attention to Billy Corgan. So we'll have to wait and see.
Two questions for you. The first question is, do the executive types hold what happened with TNA against him? I would hope not, but
no.
Just a thought, okay? And the second part of this is, when do we get to the point where it's oversaturated with just too many companies?
What do you mean with well, that would mean, Ring of Honor is not
really. Take the WWE out of it. They're, for lack of a better way, they're the big dog. They're up here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nobody's going to touch
them.
They're
the 1%er in this argument.
Pretty much, yeah. And after you
they're the 1%er, okay?
And if you watch that episode of Raw tonight, oof.
Well, listen, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
But for the sake of this argument, if you were to take Lucha Underground, Ring of Honor, TNA, or any of these, all these little indies that pop up, the PWGs of the world, the Beyonds of the world, Northeast Wrestlings, the CWFs, some of the stuff you could see from overseas.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to throw a New Japan in there, CMLL, whatever it is, that level right there. Does an NWA get caught? Are they just lost in the sauce there? Is it just too, to put it in better terms is, you got 10 hours of devoted time for wrestling in a week. Even if you're not a WWE fan and you're watching other stuff, you're watching stuff online, you're watching here and there, are you devoting an hour or two a week to a kind of a new age upstart, NWA? Maybe you get some names in there, you get some guys you like, you got Billy Corgan. Maybe you like some of the stuff he did with TNA. Maybe you give it a chance. But how many of those people it's going to be? Do you know what I'm saying? How many people are going to say, you know what? I'm going to stop binge watching Lucha on Netflix to go check out NWA. Or you know what? I'm not going to watch Ring of Honor TV this week because it's missable, which it is. And I'm a Ring of Honor fan, but it's missable. I'm not going to watch it this week because I'm going to give NWA a chance. That could happen. But my point being is how often or how many people are going to do that? It's just, to me, that's what I mean by oversaturation.
You could say the same thing about any other fucking company out there. I know what you're trying to say, but even as the market is right now without NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance, in the mix, you could say that right now about the way the wrestling business is now.
Right, but I agree with that. I agree, but I'm saying now you're adding another one. And to put it in perspective is, one of the best things that the UFC did for the UFC is they swallowed up all those the Strike Force, the Elite XCs. They put an Affliction out of business. They bought Pride. Now you have a Bellator. You got your secondary option. But for the most part, they swallowed up all that little, I'm gonna watch my fighting here. You got World Series of Fighting. The hardcore MMA fan knows where you can find some other fighting, but for the casual fan, you're watching UFC or Bellator, and pretty much that's it. And now with wrestling, all right, I might watch the WWE, but then my other 5 hours of wrestling watching, you have a lot of options out there. A lot of options.
I think that here's what I think. That brand, whether people want to believe it or not, still may mean something nowadays. It's a dead brand. I'm not going to argue with people who say it's a dead brand, but if you put the National Wrestling Alliance out there and then put fucking
It means something to guys who are over 30.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. You go to a mall somewhere, and do the Pepsi taste test type thing with NWA on one side and Lucha Underground on the other. People are going to recognize still, to this day, like you said, they may be over 30, but people are still going to recognize the NWA more than they are Lucha Underground.
It depends what circle you're talking about. A 22-year-old fan, Young Buck Mark, Bullet Club fan, he might not even know what the fucking NWA is.
Yeah, I mean, somebody.
I get what you're saying, but who are you marketing this to?
I'll be honest with you. Robert Ventura brings up a good point. Ryback is doing NWA stuff right now for NWA, and there's NWA Smoky Mountain. That's the only NWA. When you tell me National Wrestling Alliance, that's the only NWA affiliate that I can name off the top of my head, and I've never been to a damn show of theirs or even read results of them. I just see it pop up from time to time.
Well, didn't they have that Wrestling on Fire affiliate in New Jersey? I think Ken Reedy worked for them for a time period.
They also had Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, with Dave Marquez was a member.
But all that's gone now, isn't it?
And then Bruce Tharp bought the fucking thing and fucking shut out Marquez, and that was the end of that, Yeah.
As far as I remember, Ken Reedy was one of the commentators for Wrestling on Fire, which was an NWA territory or whatever you want to call it, affiliate.
I can't sit here. I'm trying to look and see here where they're.
Let me ask you a question. If you Google NWA right now,
well,
what comes up?
I'm on their Wikipedia page right now. And
I'm just gonna Google NWA. And
if
see
you
what it
Google
says on my
NWA,
phone.
you get the rap group. That's another thing that's always plagued them since the early '90s when they died out. You get Eazy-E and not Eric Bischoff.
What if you Google NWA Wrestling? Let's do that. NWA Wrestling. Here, I just Googled it on my phone.
You get
NWA Ringside, official website of the National Wrestling Alliance.
NWA Wrestling
You
Revolution.
get their Twitter, NWA On Demand, Wikipedia. I mean, you're really gonna have to you
get NWA Smoky Mountain, and this is on.
And
Yahoo.
then as you
I'm
go
not
down
Googling
top
it.
stories, Billy Corgan is buying pro wrestling's oldest and deadest brand to use as he pleases.
Yeah,
that was
just
some
not a
good
Deadspin.
headline. That's Deadspin, yeah. This day in wrestling history, Edge, the ultimate opportunist. Impact Wrestling still.
I mean, right now I can't find a single
look at this.
affiliate. So.
What does this have to? Oh, here it is. Impact Wrestling still pursuing the rights to the Hardy's broken characters.
So here it is. If you go to
Watch
NWA,
Flair versus Steamboat for the NWA title. I mean, there's nothing here that, some freaking 22-year-old kid or 18-year-old kid or 16-year-old kid or 13-year-old kid is going to Google this and be like, oh, I got to check this out.
The closest thing you have to you
They
up
need
there,
to market the fuck out of that is what they
the
need
closest
to do.
thing you have to you up there where you're at is in the New York, New Jersey area with NWA Big Apple.
When's the last time they ran? I haven't even heard of it.
Let me see here. Speaking of Jeff is up in Pennsylvania. In Williamsport, you have NWA Northeast. Where I'm at in Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina, you have NWA Mid-Atlantic, which I don't even remember the guy's name. He used to run Richmond a lot.
Yeah, but my point, how often are they running and who's going to them?
NWA Big Apple has actually got Heat Wave Friday, June 9th, 2017.
NWA Big Apple?
Yep, they're running June 9th.
Let me see if I recognize anybody on there.
Snitsky's on there.
Okay.
The Nasty Boys. I think Brian
Oh
Sags.
God, come on! You need to get some indie guys on there.
Greg the Hammer Valentine. There you go.
Here we go. I mean, listen, it's like going to big time wrestling.
I mean, it's Jerry Sags versus Mustang Mike. Crowbar versus
come on, dude.
Kansas.
Listen, that's not the market that you be going for.
Papa Don versus Timothy Theory. I've heard of Papa Don before.
What is it called? Heat Wave?
Yeah, it's called Heat Wave. Friday, June 9th, and that's from NWA Big Apple. From the
I will actually be watching Pentagon Jr. versus Sammy Callahan for Northeast Wrestling.
Get this. You go to NWA Mid-Atlantic, you have to sign up for a mailing list. There is no website. And they have Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, the mothership of the NWA.
Here, you can buy tickets. Be a part of NWA Big Apple's second coming with Heatwave. Things will get heated up on June 9th in Wayne, New Jersey.
You got NWA Texas, NWA Top of Texas, and then
the tickets are expensive. $20 to $45. Christ, I'll just go to NEW and get a better show.
I mean, and that's you traveling all the way down to New York for that.
I mean, listen, I'm not trying to brag. I mean, obviously, no, NEW is my promotion, my home promotion, but they're putting on a show. It got too big for the venue, and they moved it into Crosby High School, where they just had 3,500 people. You know what I mean? I'm not saying there's going to have 3,500 for this show, but the venue they were in held almost 2,000.
Yeah.
You know, they're not getting that kind. They're not getting that kind of
but
draw to show like this.
Here's the thing, though. Can Billy Corgan be the guy that actually changes this and says, look, we're going to have a board of directors again? Because the way the NWA ran on Bruce Tharp is you paid Bruce Tharp a license or a license.
Right, he needs to cut ties with all these bullshit promotions that are just running under the umbrella.
He needs to stop it and say, look, we're stripping everybody of the fucking titles. We're going to have a board of directors. We're going to have an NWA championship committee again. It's not just going to go by one guy.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if feasibly can things still.
It's got a lot of work to do. It sounds like a lot of work.
And I know what people are thinking. Joe, it can't run that way. You can't have a booking committee. You can't. It's never going to be like it was. You can't run it like it was because people don't trust each other. I get that, but it's not working like this.
No, the way it's going, it's not going to work. And here's the thing: this is not going to be easy to do. I mean, listen, we all have our thoughts about Jarrett. He went after it with Global Force, and it was a major fail. So what is Billy Corgan going to do that's that much different to get off? I mean, other than having something that, like you said, there's people out there that know that name, NWA. Global Force was an upstart, new idea. We get it. But all in all, other than having the name, this is almost like a ground floor project, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can figure is that he resurrects his old promotion. Didn't he co-promote some events up in Illinois where he's from? Back before he joined TNA? Wasn't he doing some shit up in Illinois every now and then?
I'm guessing.
So
I mean, we all know he was the driving force behind Maria and Bennett coming there and everything else because of the relationship with them, especially with her.
So apparently Edwards list of National Wrestling Alliance territories. The problem is that this thing doesn't actually give you current. I don't think it's current ones.
It doesn't. I mean, it just sounds like it's like we haven't run it like the Big Apple thing said. Like it made it sound like it's a comeback. Like we haven't ran in a while. NWA Big Apple, and then like the list of names you listen. In the Northeast, I'm not going to tell you I know every guy, but I pretty much know the majority of the big names around here. You didn't name one of them. Not one. Not even the New York guys. There's a ton of talent in New York City. I didn't hear one name.
I mean, I look at it this way. He's got his work cut out for him. That's for damn sure.
Right, to me, the person who really gets it, and Ring of Honor does this to an extent, but they also are bringing in, the Ken Andersons of the world, which I still don't understand. But Ring of Honor does their top prospect tournament, and then they'll bring in Travis Gordon, and then when they rebrand the Kingdom, they'll let Matt Taven bring in a TK O'Ryan. You guys from all the country, Leo Rush last year, Hanson in the past, Peacock, all those guys. They're grabbing guys with huge names on the indie scene who are still on the indie scene, but bringing them into Ring of Honor to kind of brand what Ring of Honor is. Just bringing in this old talent that has a name, people still want, in these other companies, they want fucking kick-ass matches that make you jump off your fucking seat and go crazy. Nobody wants to see Gene Snitsky versus, Carlito anymore. I'm sorry, they just don't.
You're right, they don't. Apparently Corgan was affiliated with Resistance Pro and he left in 2014. Maybe he could get back in with them. I don't know. I mean, they got
right there. I'm guessing buying it, he has a plan. I would think. Maybe there's a rat. He's got a rabbit up his hat. We don't know.
Here's the thing. I could see if he was getting the tape library because I think he owns whoever used to run in Illinois back in the day. He owns some tape library from Illinois and he's just sat on it for years and but he's not getting a tape library out of this. He's getting a name, a trademark, and a belt. That's it.
It sounds like a lot of work.
Maybe
it really does.
Maybe Billy Corgan can just take the NWA World Title, hang it above his mantle, above his fireplace, call it a day, and we'll never hear a goddamn thing from him. But
maybe he just wants all these asshole fucking
marks like us, wannabe
promoters running these fucking shows to stop using the name NWA.
Maybe. Raw tonight, man. I can't put it off anymore. We got to talk about this fucking show.
Yeah, let's get to it.
I wrote down 4 fucking things, and we've already discussed one of them. But I'm going to tell you, you got Dean Ambrose at the top of the show talking about, yeah, exactly. You got him talking about less talk, and then they come out and
while he's fucking talking on the show.
Thank you. The damn thing was dominated by him talking. What the fuck? He's not over. When will they realize he's not? And I'm not talking to him. He's not Roman Reigns. Not over. He's not fucking over. He gets no reaction when he comes out anymore. Nothing. They don't boo him. They hardly cheer him. He gets nothing. Not a goddamn thing. Nobody fucking cares about him. He needs to be totally either repackaged or turned heel at this point.
It's funny because when the Shield was in their heyday. And this was before I was, doing radio, doing podcasting, whatever you want to call it. I was just the caller on the Ken Reedy show there, and Ken, Dave, and I used to talk about the Shield all the time. And when they came up, it was always just predetermined that Ambrose was the guy. He was the number one guy, and then the other two, we'll see. And then as you kind of saw the Shield kind of find their way. Like obviously we all know I'm a Reigns guy. I loved Reigns, but you had all those moments with Rollins where you're like, boy, this fucking guy. You know what I mean? And hey, listen, Ring of Honor fans, you knew already, but you got to see him do it on the stage too. And Rollins was doing it on the stage, and it always felt like Ambrose. There was just something missing when they broke him up. Even when he got the lunatic fringe and everybody, he's going to be the next Piper and all this other crap. I don't see it with the microphone.
No.
I don't know. Every time I see Ambrose, I'm like,
there's just something
that
nothing
I don't even,
about
why
him.
are you on my screen, bro? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it is. I can't stand the dude. Like, the more I see him, the more I dislike him. I don't know. I can't pinpoint what it is, but I just do not like Dean Ambrose at all.
I'll be honest with you. You mentioned Piper. There's nothing about this guy that reminds me of Rowdy Piper.
Right, I'm with you.
Thing.
I'm just giving you what I was told. This guy's the next Piper. In what fucking world?
I mean, he cut NWO style promos in the back, scripted to a camera, and he did it well. But I mean, fucking, no, he's not the guy. He shouldn't even be holding that belt right now. To me, they need to release his ass and let him go on the Indies and reinvent himself, and then call him back in 3 years.
put it this way.
Have him go back to
the
being
Miz
John
can't even
Moxley.
fucking carry Ambrose right now. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And the Miz has been tremendous, and he can't even carry.
He
Ambrose
can't make people care about Ambrose. They're cheering the Miz.
Right. The Miz is better. I mean,
they're cheering the Miz. I mean, you hit the nail right on the head. The Miz is better in every aspect of the fucking game, and they fucking cheer Miz. And when Ambrose comes out, you could hear a fucking pin drop. And I can't blame this on the UK crowd. I can't blame this on the fact that they edited the show tonight to make the crowd sound low as fuck, which they did.
Yeah, they really did. Yeah.
But I can't blame this on anything with the UK crowd.
Listen,
Robert Ventura brings up a point. They got to put that title on the Miz, and I think they are. I want to see the title on the Miz.
they never lost it.
I can't stand this shit, man. With Ambrose,
I was actually annoyed when he lost to Balor.
You know what I get annoyed about? I mean, and everybody, you could see it from minute one when he did Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast, which has been rated the worst podcast ever done by Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's a damn good podcaster. Ambrose came on there and just came off flat. You see him at the Hall of Fame every year, and when they fucking interview him, he just comes off, I'm here, man, stopped off. I had to get my hair done and had to go fucking have Renee Young blow me just to wake me up to come here. And I'm sorry. I don't like the guy at all.
Listen,
he's not the guy.
I'm not in love with Austin as an interviewer. I like Austin being interviewed.
Yeah.
I like some of his commentary. I don't like him as an interviewer. But if you take all those WWE Network specials and you rate them, Ambrose it wasn't even, I mean, it's light years worse than any of them. And not only that, Austin called him out. Austin was like, you're complacent. He basically called the guy complacent on the air.
Well, he called him complacent not on the podcast. He called him complacent after the fact. I think it was on the next show.
Nobody said it on the show though.
Yeah.
But he wasn't calling Dean Ambrose the guy, or I know his name's not even.
Well,
really
here's the
Ambrose.
problem.
He was calling him the guy playing the character.
It's not a dry
complacent.
sense of humor. Look, I'm a big fan of, somebody in the chat room, Robert Ventura goes, he has a dry sense of humor. Look, I like British comedy. That's as dry as it gets. I like Benny Hinn, Keeping Up with Appearances, all that yuck British shit from PBS, okay? He's not dry. He's boring.
No, listen, he's a scripted, boring guy.
He's a fucking
who
monkey.
got over by cutting his fucking head open with a chainsaw on
Yeah.
CZW. Let's put it out there. That's how he got over.
I mean,
he didn't get over by being Dan Ambrose. He got over because there's videos on YouTube of him cutting himself in the head with a fucking chainsaw.
You mentioned Austin, and this is something I've been wanting to say for a while. I like Steve Austin's podcast, but his constant bitching about, goddamn, guys need to go out there and take chances. They need to quit walking on eggshells and go up there and do something. Look, Steve, it's not like it was when you were fucking coming up in the Attitude Era, and you had liberty to go out there and do that.
Right.
If these guys don't do as they're told, and if they go off script, they get fired.
Well, plus the other thing too is, let's be honest, Austin, he had been a lot of places before he decided. He was probably, let's be honest, he was probably in fuck it mode. Like, all right, I did my WCW thing, I did my shit with ECW, I'm here now. If this doesn't work, I'm done anyway. So fuck it.
Exactly.
You're not going to get a guy who's 28 years old, who's making fucking $300,000 a year, who's going to have to go. He could still make that $300,000, but he's going to have to go work his dick off, travel the world, make his own fucking T-shirts, and do all that stuff. Some guys like doing it.
Well,
some
and
guys
nowadays,
don't. They're not going to take that chance.
Hold on, though. To be in all fairness, it's a lot easier to do that now than it was, say, 2 or 3 years ago.
A lot, absolutely. I agree with you. But my point being is, you're asking guys who have a fucking pretty good income, who are at the top of what the business is. Whether you like the fact that it's boring right now, or they're not getting guys over, or whatever.
They don't
all
care.
the little things we can bitch about. The bottom line is, when you're in the WWE, when you're on Raw or SmackDown, you're at the pinnacle of what wrestling is. You're in the top spot. You're in the top company. If that was your goal, you've made it. Why would you listen? Some guys get there and be like, you know what? I did it. It's not for me. I'm going to go back. But there's probably a lot of guys who are like, fuck that. I made it here. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be the good soldier. There's just people that are like that.
I'll put it to you this way. You can make a good living on the indies. I've talked about this before. Even when the TNA is going out of business rumors, I said, look, let it go out of business. If we talk about the market being flooded, hell, TNA probably needs to go out of business right now. I know that
there was a time I disagreed with that, but right now, it's rather here nor there to me. If it goes away, I just don't think. Honestly, I thought the impact, for no pun intended, would have been worse 2-3 years ago than it's going to be now. Nobody's going to care now.
Jeff and I talked about it when we were talking about Trevor Lee, and he always goes, Jeff, how are you not booking this guy the way CWF is? They made Trevor out to be a fucking goof. An absolute dancing goof. And you know what? I can't blame Trevor, because you want to pay me a fucking thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars to fucking dance like a chimp? I'll dance like a chimp, okay?
And the bottom line is, you put the face on TV, it ups their booking.
I don't think it ups. Well, kind of, maybe.
It does.
But I don't think anybody's hooing and hawing over Trevor Lee being X Division champion, bringing him in. Not when he's doing Bola and everything like that every fucking year.
Not right now, no. But I mean, my thing is, when EC3 became EC3 and he was touring with that title, he became a headliner. I saw EC3 as a mid-carder. I don't even remember what the fuck name he was wrestling under.
I'll be honest with you.
And then a year later, he's headlining shows as the TNA champion.
That's the only thing TNA ever did right, was book EC3 the way he was booked and pushed him to the fucking moon. And then they killed it, absolutely. Yeah. But you know what, though? They did. WCW did the same with Goldberg, and Goldberg was the only homegrown talent they ever really fucking raised. Right.
Well, they had him white hot for about 8-10 months, and they fucking killed it.
Yeah, I mean, so
because they let Hogan and Nash and all those guys run. They let the inmates run the asylum.
My thing is, though, nowadays, even if Lucha Underground happens to fade away, which it
probably will.
That's probably a decent good thing for the business. It gives.
It's good for them to fade away.
It kind of is, because then it gives.
I don't think it's good or bad. I just think it sucks for people who like Lucha.
Yeah. I mean, granted, but now I like the product, at least season 1. But my thing is, it would free up some of these guys from their fucking contracts and shit that didn't have to worry about fucking walking on eggshells when they book themselves. I know me and you you've talked about it before, about having one name on one place, name on the other.
I don't like that.
They wouldn't have to fucking worry about that if Lucha faded away.
Well, part of that was what the guys with the contracts with AAA. Yeah. AAA didn't want him doing that shit either.
My thing is,
which is why Pentagon Jr. is going on Penta OEM. I don't even know what the fuck.
I mean, my thing is that my point to all this is, here it is now. We couldn't wait for competition for Vince, and nobody is really ever going to be competition for Vince. But the market,
more than likely,
outside of that, the market is now flooded. Like I said, just North Carolina alone, there was 1 week where I looked on a list of local indie events, and there was 9 events happening in North Carolina one weekend. 9.
It's a lot.
But anyway.
Well, I mean, it's a big state. I mean, the one thing I have to say about Connecticut is, like, you get a few shows that parachute in, but the big shows that are run by Northeast Wrestling. Let me see if I can find what their that's got to be somewhere here. The Pentagon shit. Northeast Wrestling. Let me see if I can find it again. They have so many. At this time of year, they do all the Wrestling Under the Stars tour, so they end up with so many shows. It's nutty.
Another thing I wrote down about tonight's Raw while you're looking that up.
Yep.
I'm watching Raw on my computer because I have Xfinity and I could watch it through, on the computer. And I'm doing my work stuff on another screen. And during commercials, I mute the thing and go off and do my little modules that I got to do for training. And I'm sitting here and I get all of those modules done. I had like 10 of these damn things I had to do, which is big. For anybody who's done any type of training for where they work, it's watch a video, answer questions. Watch a boring video, answer questions. And then I had to do my boss sends me a last minute one where I had to do a scavenger hunt on one of the Hilton websites. Mm-hmm. I get all this done by 9 o'clock. Or excuse me, by 10 o'clock. And I'm sitting there yawning, looking at the clock going, oh my God, I got another hour of this shit to go. It's too much. It dragged the fuck on. Last week's show was over and done before I knew it. You know, this week, just even with Roman Reigns, the fucking show just dragged the fuck on.
I actually felt that way about the majority of Raws. I thought SmackDown was bad last week too. Real quick, not to change the subject, but Penta Elom.
Mm-hmm.
So Penta ELOM. Looks like 3 words. Penta Elom, FKA Pentagon Jr. And real quick, I'll just put it over since we're talking about it. Friday, June 9th, 8 p.m., Crosby High School. Kelly, Penta Elom, obviously versus Sami Callihan.
Kelly, what does she do? She just come out there, shake her ass, and then
She's
go to the merch
she's
table?
going out as Barbie Blank.
What's her real name?
Yep. You got Travis Gordon versus Dijak. You got Keith Lee versus JT Dunn. Jake will be in the house. Jerry Lawler. And I got to tell you, this guy is going to get heckled to high heaven if he actually shows up. Alberto El Patron in the building. And I know the crew that I'm going with is going to have some fun with El Patron.
Is this for the...
If he actually shows up.
Is this the one... I'm looking at Northeast Wrestling. Is this the one at the... you're looking at the one in Waterbury. They have one in New York.
Yeah, this is Friday night, June 9th in Waterbury. It actually is called NEW Live. It was supposed to be at the Waterbury Powell building. They sold too many tickets, so they moved it to Crosby High School. The tickets are very affordable. It's actually, to be honest, it's probably a better venue to.
And I will say, looking at this is where NEW and CWF have a lot in common. You go to their website, folks. This is how indie events should do it right. Well, there is one thing I think that NEW is doing wrong, but I'll get to in a minute. Because I'll be honest, I haven't seen a fucking event of theirs, and there's a good reason why. Because I'm not gonna fucking pay Flow Slam or whoever they're at the money. I just don't have it in the budget right now. But you go on their website, you click on events. It's an updated website that gives you events, just current events, going all the way till August for Wrestling Under the Stars 6. Okay?
Yeah, they probably giving you everything that tickets are on sales for.
Yeah. Okay. You go to.
You got to remember, Northeast Wrestling is like the top dog in the entire Northeast. You know, so they're not just zeroing in on one market.
Right.
They've traveled as far south as North Carolina and as far west as Ohio.
They need to come back. They need to come back to North Carolina. I would love to see NEW run the Sportatorium and you know, because
they just might.
CWF rents that building out. Shakara is going to be running that building soon.
Mm-hmm.
Modern Vintage Wrestling is going to be running that building this month. Fuck NEW. Hey, the guys at NEW, if you're watching, contact Stutzy and see about renting the building out. I'll go to the show if they can do it on a Sunday, you know, or Saturday where I'm able to get off.
They probably would, and they'd bring all the guys down there. You'd get the Kingdom, you'd get Flip, you'd get Dijak. They'd bring everybody down there for sure.
My point is that you go to the CWF 24/7's website. They have events scheduled. Hey, here's the events we have scheduled. You know, Saturday, May 13th is at, you know, in Chapel Hill, and then you go back to the Sportatorium on the 20th. And then you have absolutely...
So what is your concern with the NEW website?
My thing, the NEW, it's not so much the website, it's the fact of I think NEW needs to start doing like CWF does. Put their shit on YouTube every week.
Yeah, you know what? He's vehemently against that.
Really?
Vehemently against it.
Why?
If they're not selling it online and they're not selling it on DVD, they do not want their content on YouTube. They don't want it anywhere.
Well, here's my thing about this is, at least with the YouTube, if somebody goes and steals it, you file a copyright claim, get the shit taken down. Google will do that for you, and you can, you know, we talked to Grant about this. You can.
Well,
make
I mean,
money
I
off
think there's
of it.
times they've like thrown a match out. Like I think they put Angle and Cody up for a time period.
You can make more money off of it and get more views of it, you know. But hey, if whatever your business model is, if that's not the way you want to go, if you don't want to get your product out there more, it's not. Who am I to tell you how to run your business? But
well, I mean, this is the thing, Joe. I'm not saying I disagree with you. I think in some ways they're a little bit old school. But at the same time, you know, Global Force runs a ballpark 2 years ago in Niles, Ohio, and gets 50 people. And NEW goes in there a week later and gets 1,000 after never running Ohio ever. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
so
get
they're
it.
doing something
I get
right,
it.
is
They're
my point.
Northeast Wrestling. They don't have any plans to expand beyond that territory. So they're going to harness that, and they know it's the hotbed for wrestling. So
Right, they're gonna. I mean, they've expanded more
until
into
that
New Jersey. They, like I said, they did do a show in North Carolina. They expand that the Wrestling Under the Stars tour. But are you going to see Northeast Wrestling in California anytime soon? Probably not. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to go that crazy, but
well, here's the
they
thing, though.
also bring in a lot of big names that are Ring of Honor level, TNA level type names. They also bring in some of the old school names and the bigger events because people still go to them. You know, I think they may take a little hit. And they may not go to North Carolina again because part of that was they had a very good relationship with Matt Hardy, and I'm sure he had a lot to do with that. And I mean, that's not going to happen right now. You know what I mean? So the Hardy Boys are out for them. They were the first ones to book the Hardys versus the Bucks. That was a huge deal for them. You know what I mean? So he's taken some risks in putting matches together and putting out money to book different guys that he started the whole Cody puts out the list. He wants to wrestle Kurt Angle. Northeast Wrestling gives it to you. You know what I mean? So that's really their deal more so than you seeing their content on YouTube. I agree with you. There's a value in that. They just don't do things that way.
Well, I mean, I know that they just put stuff up on. They just put stuff up here on the High Spots Wrestling Network, which is better than that other thing that I saw.
Yes.
They just put.
Well,
Crossroads.
they have a good relationship with High Spots.
They put Crossroads. They have the Spring Slam from April 23rd. March Mayhem is up there. So who knows? Maybe you can rent these
probably
things for
whatever
$5.
They're doing, whatever Crossroads video. When Crossroads is in charge of the production for them, or Crossroads when High Spots is in charge of the production with them, which is usually the bigger shows where you always see High Spots there, and they do all. I think they do all their DVD work. I could be wrong about that, but they're not filming the Bethany shows. You know what I mean? The NEW crew's filming that, and then High Spots is putting out the DVD. But all their bigger shows, the entire High Spots crew is there. You usually see like Caleb Conley because he's kind of with those guys up on their big shows, guys like that. So they have connections in that North Carolina area. A lot of that, like I said, it was Matt Hardy, High Spots, Caleb Conley. I don't know. I don't know if you know Man Scout Manning.
Oh yeah, Jake
those
Manning.
kind of guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean Jake. I mean he went from the heel that they just squashed all the time, and his gimmick is so cool that it just got over.
Mm-hmm.
That's
how it was in PWX. He even went and joined the Revolt with Caleb Connolly and Zane Riley. So I mean, he's
his whole deal gimmick before was under for life, and now he's kind of over.
Yeah, I mean he's the king of $5 wrestling. I think he owns $5 wrestling, doesn't he?
I'm not sure 100% on his background, but
getting back to Raw though, I just think Northeast Wrestling, if it's as good, they'll do a little bit. And CWF is guilty of this too. They have their YouTube show. Flow Slam gave them a fucking nod this past week for that damn Chip Day Triple E match. Flow Slam. It was as many, you got House of Hardcores on Flow Slam, a bunch of other people on Flow Slam. And as CWF has nothing to do with Flow Slam, and as big as that match was, Flow Slam is telling people to go to YouTube to watch that match. So that says something.
I mean, listen, I mean, Beyond's pretty much built their brand on YouTube, so there's obviously a value in it.
So let's get back to Raw here. I haven't written down here. Roman not booed as much, and he needed, tonight he needed to be put over. I think they did. If they were going to bring these two back right here, I got to say, one, they adjusted the crowd audio because you had those initial boos that were going to get there no matter how much unless they totally muted it. But then it started to level off. I think maybe, I don't want to go as far as to say maybe some cheers were piped in, but it didn't sound like he was booed as much. There was a lot of women in the crowd cheering his ass, and he needed he
got some of the Cena-like reaction.
To steal a quote from, I believe, season 4 of Sons of Anarchy, the Lincoln Potter character, the good guys needed a win, and that's what we got tonight. He needed, you needed that heel to back down. You needed Roman Reigns to come in there and kick the crap out of him. The only thing I fucking disagree with is that little fist pumping thing. He did that every fucking punch tonight. And I'm like, really?
Really? You know what? It's funny. It's funny you're going to bring that up because what I was going to say was exactly that. When they were in the ring, and with the Superman punches, I was kind of like, come on, get away from this.
It doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't make it doesn't make the move any more impactful. It doesn't make it look any better.
Well,
it doesn't
he's
get it
playing
over
to the 8-year-olds in the crowd.
It doesn't get it over anymore, though. I mean, it just doesn't. No, stop. Do it
Right.
once, and that's it.
Hold on a second. My point being is when they went outside the ring, and he started getting nasty with slamming the arm into the ring post and everything else. That is the fucking Roman Reigns I want to see. I want to see that tweener, badass motherfucker that doesn't care,
and that's what I
just be a little bit of a savage. His biggest pop he's gotten in a long time is still when he destroyed Triple H.
Yeah.
Just beat the ever-loving piss out of him. You want Reigns to have that nasty. Whether they're going to book him as a heel or face is rather here nor there. You want him to have that nastiness about him. When he has that nastiness about him, he's kind of a character that's more – you get into it more. You're like, yeah, this is a bad – he should be a bad motherfucker. Heel or face, book him as a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see savage Roman Reigns. I don't want to see suffering succotash Roman Reigns.
I agree, 100%.
And that's part of the reason why I don't like him. And I know it's not his fault, but I think that's 90%. That suffering succotash line is going to haunt him for fucking.
Well, let me ask you a question.
All of his
How
career.
did these guys who have watched wrestling and been involved in wrestling for all these fucking years, watch what you and I watched tonight? Those two different versions of the guy you got, and not say the guy on the outside of the ring, the savage, badass motherfucker, is not the guy we should be booking over the guy with the cock in his fist.
Yeah,
succotash.
You know what you needed tonight?
Who's watching this shit?
You know what you needed tonight? The only thing that I would have done differently in this segment, besides the arm cocking thing, which to me that needs to go away completely.
Agreed.
Doesn't fit his character. Yes, it's a fucking hand gesture, whatever. But you know what?
That is booking to 5 and 8-year-olds. That's what that's doing. I mean, that's all. Nobody cares about that. I agree with you.
And the 5 and the 8-year-olds don't care about it. That's the point.
No, they're still gonna like or not like Roman Reigns.
So the only thing I wrote down that they could have done differently was, it would have been nice, like that savage character, and he's going through the crowd, and Strowman is running away. It would have been nice. He's right there by the fucking timekeepers and the ring announcers. It would have been so nice if Roman would have picked up a fucking microphone and went, "I'm not finished with you," and then ran after and attacked him again. It would have made so much sense based off of Strowman going, "I'm not finished with you," and Roman needed to be that more savage. We wanted to see that taken up. I wanted to see it taken up to the 10th level.
Take it to another level.
But overall, the segment's good. It's the best segment on the show. I agree with you.
It was actually the most. It was probably the most interesting and the segment that people were most involved in, invested in.
Is it going to be enough? I mean, hell, you had the Intercontinental title pushed through, shoved down your damn throats for the entire fucking show, and guess what? At the end of the night, and we'll get to that in a minute. Nobody give a crap about fucking anybody but the Miz, which fucking Miz is awesome, no pun intended. And it doesn't make the title mean more important. It makes the character mean more important. Now, if they put the title on that character, then it's going to make the title seem important. It just it's.
But
fucking,
does it? Let me ask you this.
Ambrose dragged this show down. That's bottom line. And we just discussed it. The main thing around, if they would have had less Dean Ambrose on this show, I would have been fucking 10 times happier with it.
Do you think they should have stayed away from Miz and Balor? Just because I get you don't want to.
Well, that's my problem.
You don't want Balor to take that L right now. But
I'll get to that.
Would it be more prudent to have Miz get a W2 in this show? Well, I think it would have been.
I'll get to that in a second. But
okay.
I mean, you had this match. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it here. Because that's the next thing I have written down. You had Wyatt versus.
So we're on the same page here.
Yeah, exactly. We're Wyatt versus Ambrose tonight. The best part of the match was that suplex out of the ring. When he had him draped across the second rope on the outside, I'd never seen that before. I thought it was damn cool.
Yeah, agree.
But here's how I would have booked this, folks, and this is where they went wrong. You had last week Bray Wyatt fucking destroy Balor in the middle of that ring. that really wasn't acknowledged at all tonight. Not even hardly on commentary. What I would have done is you had that Miz match right at the beginning of the show with Balor. Okay, it started the show off. You had 3 hours more or less of fucking filler. Why aren't they sitting there going, okay, here's what we're gonna do. Balor, you're gonna go out there, you're gonna have a match. Miz is going to go over on you, but it's not going to fucking matter because you're going to have your moment at the end of the night. Because here's what we're going to do, Balor. You're going to come back from your match. You're going to fucking take a shower or dry your sweat off. We're going to have a lady here who's going to paint you the fuck up over the next goddamn 2.5, 3 hours. And at the end of the fucking night, right as he's about to Sister Abigail Ambrose, the lights are going to fucking start flickering.
And
the
smoke
goddamn
and everything.
demon's going to show up and fucking goddamn put the bloody Sunday on fucking Wyatt, and that's how it's going to go off. But they didn't do it. They missed opportunities again.
Because they don't go all the way with these storylines.
You
They
know?
half-ass these fucking storylines.
And you're in England, where fucking Balor made his name. In Europe, in the UK.
I actually thought he'd get a bigger reaction.
So did I. I will say there's more people putting their hands up in the air and all that
There
shit.
was.
But
I thought it was going to be, like, huge.
I think, I mean, I just, they I wrote
But
here,
it's
no
like,
Balor,
I listened
no
to,
Balor and demon makeup. I wrote that down. And that's the only things I wrote down tonight was that it dragged on. There's less talk, but we had nothing more. We had nothing but talk. Roman got booed, but not as much, and he got over tonight. The suplex outside the ring was cool, and Balor didn't appear in demon makeup. That's your Raw, folks. And granted, I know it was pre-taped. I could have went and read the spoilers, but I didn't because I wanted to hear the crowd.
I got a couple more for you.
Go ahead.
One, I listened to Jeff's show when he broke down Raw. Edwards, or Blading for Truth. I listened to his show, and he was talking about threading the story, and he brought up a fantastic point on that show, where he broke down the women's segment from the week before, and how the women's segment opened the show, and then the match took place right after.
Yeah.
And they pretty much did the same thing this week with Balor. I know because of the Miz being involved in it.
You're right.
And
they had the women in the ring last week, and Edwards was talking about how they had the match right after, and I think I know where you're going with this.
right,
But,
with the Miz and Balor, it's almost the same thing, and they didn't give you. And his basic point was, they didn't give you the main event. They didn't give you what was upcoming in this show.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't give you a reason to invest your time and stay in the show. And you know what? I kind of knew it, but I never thought about it that way, put it in those words. So watching this show, I'm like, they just did the same fucking thing again he was talking about. The exact same thing. And the thing is like putting the Miz with Finn Balor right now, I know they don't value the Miz where they think wins and losses matter for the Miz. I get that. I understand what they're going for there. But at some point, where do they get a little bit old school with this stuff where, both guys in a feud or a couple guys that need to be booked strong could all get booked strong on the same show? And it's kind of par for the course with everything they do, because you get into the tag team turmoil. And yeah, they haven't done one of those on Raw recently, and I get they're supposed to be different brands, but the tag team turmoil thing has been done like twice on SmackDown in 6 months.
Yep.
So and let's face it, there's a lot of repeat viewers here. You're not getting 3 million people watching Raw and then 2 million different people watching SmackDown. No, there's 2 million of the audience that probably watched Raw watching SmackDown also. So you're not fooling anybody with this stuff.
You're exactly right, and here's why you're right. You have 3 hours of programming, and here's why it drags the fuck on, folks. You have 3 hours of programming. Why not fucking tell people, I'll see you in the main event tonight, or I'll see you at the top of the first hour or at the bottom of the second hour? I know they're not going to come out and use that exact language.
They actually consistently do it more on SmackDown, that stuff like that.
Yeah.
They'll have the opening segment.
That's because they only have 2
set
hours.
Up the main event. Let me ask you a question. And all you smart marks out there would be like, how do you not know this? And I don't care. Is there different writers? I mean, there must be. The shows are written. You could just tell it's different. SmackDown, whether it's 2 or 3 hours, I understand that the extra hour is a big deal. I get it. But the SmackDown show, even when it's bad, it just flows better.
Yeah.
And you kind of know what you're getting yourself into because they use that opening segment to kind of book the rest of the
And
show.
here's the thing.
And on Raw, it's like, all right, we got the opening segment, then the match that follows that was booked on that opening segment, and it's like, where the fuck we going from here?
Here's the thing, too. People are like, Raw needs to go back to 2 hours. It's not.
Never happened.
Well, here's the thing. It's not WWE's fault that they're 3 hours to begin with. It's USA. USA wants that third hour.
Well, because here's the thing, and I've said this 1,000 times. Everybody who thinks they're going to get kicked off the network is dead fucking wrong.
No way.
Because reruns of NCIS are not getting 3 million viewers, and the WWE still is. Even if they only get 2 million, they're still getting more than anything else that's on USA.
There's a reason why even at 2 million viewers, they're the highest rated show on basic cable, you know?
Right.
I mean, come on here. You know, it's in their contract, I think, is due with USA either this year or next year.
Already? I thought they just re-upped that.
They're not going to get as much money if it is up, you know? But they're still not going to fucking dump them. You're not going to see Raw going back to Spike TV anytime soon, is my point.
Well, that's the next thing. Either Spike TV or Fox Sports 1 would jump the fuck all over that.
Hell,
let's be honest.
They're so buddy-buddy with ESPN. Why don't you put Raw on ESPN?
See, I don't think ESPN would do it.
Well, ESPN can't afford it. They just had all them fucking layoffs at the end of last month. So.
Well, you know why? Because ESPN's paying fucking
too much for fucking content.
Well, did you hear? Did you know what they did? They bought that fucking playoff game, the NFL playoff game. Their ESPN's package with the NFL doesn't include a playoff game, whereas like Fox, who pays the most for NFL coverage, gets X amount of playoff games. And NBC gets X amount of playoff games, and CBS gets X amount of playoff games. And every third year, they get a Super Bowl.
Yep.
So ESPN has that next level package, the Monday night package.
Wait, you mean the ESPN is going to have the Super Bowl this coming year?
No. They're not getting the Super Bowl.
Oh, good. Okay.
What I'm saying is those three networks, CBS, NBC, Fox, they have the playoff packages and the Super Bowls locked up. So this year, what ESPN did is they paid extra for a playoff game, which they got.
Then they probably stuck them with the shittiest playoff game, didn't they?
But here, exactly. Not only did they get the worst game, they paid $75 million for it and only sold $25 million worth of advertising for it. Oh. They lost 50 fucking million. I get it. To a company that's owned by Disney, it's cab fare. But if you keep losing 50 fucking million, it adds up after a while.
It's not cab fare when they're having to turn around and lay off employees.
Right. That's, you know, at the time it was chalked up to cab fare, but now they cut half their fucking staff. And here's the other thing. The reason the ratings are down is because all the talent that got over at ESPN.
It's now at Fox.
It's almost like Fox is doing a WCW. Back in the day, like their plan was, all right, as Hogan leaves WWF and Bret Hart leaves WWF and Hall and Nash and all these guys, we're going to offer them more fucking money to come to our network.
I look at it this way.
Fox did it, but Fox is crushing them because of it.
I watch FS1 because of their NASCAR coverage, okay?
Well, their two big selling points when the network started were that and the UFC.
Yeah.
And soccer.
Here's the thing with them. I see comments, or I can't stand the motherfucker because he picks on pro wrestling fans a lot. But I fucking, they got Colin Cowherd for me, and they got that old white guy and the black guy who sit there and debate each other all the fucking time. You're
talking about Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp.
They talk about those two.
Well, listen, that is Fox Sports' version of First Take, which Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith made famous. And you know what ESPN did? They put Max Kellerman on the show with Stephen A., which I love Max Kellerman, personally.
I don't know who
that
is.
But they put him on the show with Stephen A., and it's not the same dynamic because you can tell they don't have the relationship with those.
I like Mike and Mike.
They took that show off ESPN2, and they put it on ESPN and move SportsCenter to ESPN too to try to get the show over.
Here's my
because
problem with all
Skip
of
and
them.
Shannon are fucking crushing them in the ratings.
Here's my problem with ESPN, and even FS1 and everybody to my thing. And I know I'm in the fucking minority of this. I know.
I'll probably agree with you.
I don't watch fucking football. That's all they fucking talk about.
It's not all they talk about.
I hardly watch baseball. They don't fucking talk about, when I get it. Nobody's going to talk about hockey. Nobody's going to talk about NASCAR. Those are the only two sports I follow. I'm in a great
those
fucking
shows
minority.
don't talk about baseball either, though.
They
only pick. You know when Skip Bayless talks baseball right now when he's talking about Tim fucking Tebow.
Yeah.
But they're not gonna. I get your point. They're not gonna talk NASCAR. They're only gonna touch college football during the season. They're still talking about Tony fucking Romo, Tim Tebow, and LeBron James.
Yeah, I mean
that's all they're gonna fucking talk about. And they're gonna talk about Mayweather and McGregor. And every now and then they'll jump in with
Comcast out here today, burying my internet cable. So we're gonna want. But what I'm trying to say is, the sport of curling gets more fucking coverage on ESPN than NASCAR does. And you look at Talladega this past weekend, they had 100 and some thousand people in the fucking grandstands.
But isn't FS1 doing a good job of covering that stuff?
Oh, dude, I honestly, what I'm trying to say is ESPN is the original sports network. They're supposed to be non-biased and cover all fucking sports equally. Doesn't happen. Never has happened. Never will happen. But
no. Well, they made their name on personalities, and all those personalities are gone.
And to touch on your point, Fox does a brilliant job covering the NFL. I won't watch an NFL game if it's not on Fox. Okay, and that's when I watch an NFL game.
They cover it very well. They really do.
I won't watch a fucking baseball game unless it's on Fox or fucking maybe Mid-Atlantic Sports Network or WGN, but Fox does it the best. Fox has always, ever since they got the NASCAR shit and the football deal, they've been the best at it. When NASCAR
and there's no secret to why the UFC went with Fox and not anybody else either.
I mean, I think, honestly, to your UFC bit, I think they could do a better job promoting UFC because I still think they see it as a fucking real... they still see it as a real version of pro wrestling.
Hold on, in fairness to Fox. And fairness to Fox in that whole deal. The UFC still produces all that programming. Fox airs it. The UFC produces it. Mm-hmm. You follow what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, but I mean,
Fox pays them to air what the UFC produces. That's the big sticking point with this next TV deal. The UFC, under the new ownership, WME, they want not only more money for the product, but they want the network to produce it. So at that point, it may actually be a good thing for the UFC because those geniuses at Fox are going to get their hands in on how this is being produced and how it's being presented. And that's probably why they changed, probably why Goldberg's out and Anik is in, because Anik is the Fox guy with the UFC.
When you say Goldberg, Mike
Goldberg.
The fucking announcer, yeah. I mean,
that could be why he's out and Anik is in. John Anik is the lead.
Here's the thing.
John Anik went from the second UFC announcer to the lead UFC announcer.
Does Mauro Ranallo have a contract with CBS?
I believe he does because
of boxing and everything. He just called a boxing match with him.
It's probably his contract is probably with Viacom. I think Viacom is the name of the company that still owns CBS, Showtime, all that stuff. Yeah. So my guess is Mauro has a contract with Viacom.
So he's not popping up on NWC. He's not popping up there anytime soon. That was going to be my question.
Probably not any, unless, listen, when his contract's up, maybe, but not anytime soon. Trust me, I would love to see it.
We're going to wrap things up here in just a minute, but
he'll be, when he hits the market in the combat sports world, HBO, you would think Fox, you would think
Showtime,
Spike TV, you would think all of them.
Is he the guy to call McGregor Mayweather? I say yes.
He should be.
Where's this? Have they determined what network this is going to air on? Mayweather's shit usually hits HBO, right?
No, Showtime.
Showtime? If it hits Showtime, then fuck yeah, Ronaldo's calling it.
Well, here's my reasoning behind that. If you're going to call that fight properly, you want a guy who could bridge the gap between MMA and boxing.
And he's the only guy that can do it.
he's the guy that could do it. Number one. Plus, and Brendan Schaub brings this up in his podcast all the time. He thinks that, you know, if there's a boxing color guy, like let's say Paulie Malignaggi, because he's a Showtime guy, let's say it's Malignaggi. He's called a bunch of Mayweather fights. He thinks Rogan should be the Conor side. Rogan said many times he wants no part of doing it. So if you're gonna have a boxing color guy, to me, there's no other play-by-play guy than Morrow to do it, because he's gonna give you both sides of the coin there. I think what'll happen it will be very much a boxing promotion, and you'll see a lot of UFC ads, and you'll see Dana White, and they'll interview Dana White, and they'll make it a big deal about the UFC, and the UFC is going to obviously get their money and get their promotional aspect, but I think it'll be very much a boxing-like promotion.
Oh, yeah, it'll be a very much boxing feel to it.
But listen, it's going to be a boxing match, so it should be.
I mean, the thing is, does that hurt their chances of UFC converts coming over and ordering it?
I don't think so, because I think the Conor fan will come out in masses to watch the fight, because I think whether certain people believe it or not, they're going to do a very good job of selling you on the idea that all he has to do is land his one shot.
It's fucking Mayweather promoting it too. I mean, let's not forget about that.
But here's the thing. Mayweather, the reason why Mayweather makes so much money is
because he's his own promoter. He doesn't have to pay a Don King or anybody else.
Exactly. And here's the thing, what people don't realize. Mayweather has a deal unlike most boxers. He promotes himself, so Showtime pays him to be on the network. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's not paying Showtime to promote him. They're paying him to be on the network. You know what I mean? When Canelo fights under the Golden Boy umbrella, he's fighting for Golden Boy. Mayweather cut that middleman out. Mayweather Promotions was cutting that middleman out.
Yeah, I mean, Mayweather pretty much took a look at the landscape and goes, I'm not going to be Mike Tyson, you know?
Well, what he said is I could pay my lawyer, Leonard Ellerby, to negotiate my contracts and pay him a fuck lot less than I have to pay Bob Arum or Oscar De La Hoya or fucking Don King. I'd have to pay them 30%, and I could pay this guy 10%, and he's still making fucking $20 million. You know what I mean?
We're gonna go ahead and get out of here tonight. Any final thoughts this week? Anything coming up here on your end of things?
Real quick, I want to get your thoughts on something real fast.
Go ahead.
Did you see the way they promoted or way they announced Canelo versus Triple G?
Who?
Canelo Alvarez versus Gennady Golovkin.
I don't follow it enough to know what you're talking about.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, I know Edward saw it. I'm going to talk about it on my show. Basically, what I'm talking about, for those of you that don't know, I thought you might have saw it because it was all over the internet this weekend. After Canelo Alvarez beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., as the in-ring interview with Max Kellerman, of all people we were talking about, because he's the HBO.
He's somebody was in the ring talking to somebody. Okay. That's all I heard. I'm sorry.
Well, all right, real quick. After the fight's over, Canelo beats Chavez Jr. He's in the ring with Max Kellerman. In-ring interview. Lights go out. On the screens in the building, who pops up? Triple G.
This is a boxing match, right?
This is a boxing match. Now they're promoting Canelo's next fight.
They're pulling pro wrestling tricks in boxing now.
Exactly, and it was ingenious to pull in boxing. They needed to do stuff like this. UFC was built on doing things like this. Listen, Dana White many times has called Vince McMahon a genius. What's wrong with it?
And they should do it more often.
Agree. Listen, if you're out there, check it out on YouTube. Honestly, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it.
What is it now?
Just pull up Canelo post-fight interview with Triple G. And you'll be able to watch it. It's a couple minutes long because the lights go out in the middle of his in-ring interview when they ask him who's he's going to fight next. The lights go out. Triple G pops on the screen. His music hits. They do this big video thing. He comes out. He gets in the ring together. Max Kellerman asks them both a question, and there you go.
See,
it was very wrestling-esque.
You're a pro wrestling guy. You watch you're an MMA guy and a pro wrestling guy.
Yes.
to casual or to boxing fans, not just casual fans, but to boxing and MMA guys who could give two shits about pro wrestling. They have never watched pro wrestling probably a day in their fucking life. They see something like that goes down. Do you think that it automatically puts it in their heads of, oh, they're trying that fake shit?
No.
I mean,
The overall fan, no.
Because, I mean,
they
to
like,
me as a pro wrestling guy, I'm looking at it
want
going,
excitement,
oh, look,
they want spectacles.
But the thing is, to me, as a common, and maybe I'm jaded, but to me as a common fan, if I was to look at that, order that fight, and I see that shit at the end, I'm going, oh, look, they're trying to be like pro wrestling. Isn't that cute? You know?
I mean, I'm sure, listen, there's always going to be naysayers that are going to say shit like that. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of them like it. I think, and listen, you know, Conor McGregor got famous as much on his mouth as on his skill. You know what I'm saying? You know, combat sports people, they like this kind of shit. You know what I mean? I think it's almost where has it been? Why wouldn't boxing have done this a long time ago? When you watch how the UFC stole that aspect from pro wrestling and utilized it to build a brand, why wouldn't boxing have done this a long time ago? I don't know what they were waiting for, to be honest with you. Oscar De La Hoya, I mean, listen, ESPN and Fox and anybody he talked to, he was on over the weekend, and they put him over as a genius for doing it.
I can't seem to find this thing anywhere.
This is what I'm gonna do when we hang up here. I'm gonna get you the link and I'll tweet it to you.
Yeah, go ahead. But we're gonna
or I'll tag you on Facebook, whatever.
We're gonna go ahead and get out of here, folks, because I got 3 videos now that I got to patch together as one. But that's gonna be fun editing on my part tomorrow morning. Plus, I got to wake up early for this job. But anyway, folks, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Follow us on Twitter at 1650PWAM. Follow AC at AC Cooldown, and of course, I'm at Joe Pillar to Post. We got big things coming up. If you follow 1650 PWAM, that is where our show links go out first. You can see it there, except for the live shows, because the live shows are automatically set to disperse to my Twitter and Facebook there. But Jeff Edwards, being the Twitter mastermind he is, usually retweets that. But 1650 PWAM is where you can find most of our content first. And folks, we got big stuff coming up this week. I know AC's probably got a show coming up sometime. I know Edwards has stuff in the pipeline. I know Edwards has said something about wanting to do another CWF review show and make that a regular thing on Wednesdays, which is going to be awesome. But for AC, I'm Joe White. And for everybody here at 1650 PWAM, we'll see you down the road. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment below.